This podcast is for the short story Sweat by Zora Neale Hurston and can be found on page 411 of the e-fictions text. Early on in this story, we come to a moment in Delia's life that seems to be the first time that she is standing up to her husband, who, even earlier than that, it is established is abusive and has no respect for her whatsoever. This is really similar to what we saw in the Yellow Wallpaper, where the woman, the narrator in that story, stands up to her husband, the physician, and he faints. It's not all that different here when Delia takes the frying pan, arms herself with it, and basically stands up for herself. Sykes is completely shocked. So we see this change in her character, and we also have established that life has gotten worse and worse for her over the years, and that, as it says on page 413, paragraph 25, anything like flowers had long ago been drowned in the salty stream that had been pressed from her heart. So essentially all the life's been taken out of her. Nothing in her life is pleasurable, and it's basically all sweat. When it comes to the laundry that she must clean, when it comes to the fact that he doesn't do anything to help her, and in fact does whatever he can to inhibit her, her life is very difficult. He's a leech, and nevertheless, she does have this one little area that seems to be her own sort of little Garden of Eden, and she's built this area with trees and flowers, and that is lovely to her. And she builds up what is essentially a spiritual earthworks, as it says in paragraph 26, against her husband, and that now nothing could reach her anymore. None of his abusive tendencies could get to her. Then we move to part two. Part two exists simply to establish that everyone in the town seems to have a similar view of Sykes, and to show that this is not some kind of special circumstance in a marital relationship. They're just not getting along and he's not treating her well. In fact, people in the town say that she was once beautiful and had a lot of energy about her, and now she's just been turned into this sort of haggard woman who looks much older than she really is. And we also see Sykes come into the shop with his mistress, Bertha, and we see the way that he behaves. It's practically comical in a lot of ways, and the way that everybody else sees him. Then when we move into part three, we go back to a focus on Delia, but some time has passed, 3 months, and Bertha has been in town for quite a while, and that Sykes is paying her rent with the money that Delia is earning washing clothes. And it seems that she's in some kind of house of ill repute, whether it's that she's exactly a prostitute or simply somebody just going around living off of various men is hard to say, but nevertheless, she does not have a very good reputation. And now there are no peaceful interludes in their relationship. There's pretty much silence between the two of them, and she is repulsed by him. And on page 416, of course, everything intensifies as it moves from July to August. Kind of reminds me of the heat building in Gatsby. And we know that the story is going to come to climax soon. And basically, Sykes has the plan. He knows that Delia is afraid of snakes, so he's going to bring this rattlesnake home, and maybe this will just scare her off. And, if nothing else, maybe it'll bite her, kill her. Some way that he can replace her with Bertha. And so he brings home this rattlesnake, and obviously the religious symbolism is not hard to get here, and aims to scare her off. And then, on page 417, the situation with the match, I believe that the match would be scaring off the snake and allowing him to be able to see where the snake is. As well as Delia, and she uses the last match, and he's stolen all the matches, essentially, perhaps so that she can't defend herself against the snake. I've never fully understood it, but it has something to do with a match being the perfect way to scare off a rattlesnake. And so she takes the last match, she goes and hides in the yard, he wakes up, he assumes that he's scared her off, And he goes in, and the rattlesnake is attacking him. And he's searching for this match frantically, but she has used the last one. And she then stays in hiding as he almost seems to transform into an animal. And this is in paragraph 104, where it says that eventually he has screaming without a recognizable human sound. And she hears then in the next paragraph these series of animal screams and the whir of the reptile. And it almost shows him coming into his true form as the devil, the snake. And at the end of the story, he crawls toward her, final transformation into the snake. And by the end, she's basically killed off this devil in order to live a life of independence as a woman, and also be able to have be fulfilled spiritually as well. That's about it for the story. I don't think anything else is too confusing about it. And thanks for listening.